All right, everything's set up now. Hello, everyone. Sorry, I realised I did all the stuff earlier, and I was like, yeah, fine. And I hadn't changed it so that all the titles and stuff. That's the one thing I always do, and I completely forgot. So I was like, wait a minute, we're not doing Sisterhood again. So apologies if you're on YouTube and you're like, wait, where's this one that she's scheduled? We're not doing that one, and I've had to move things around. But anyway, hello everyone. Hello, my name is Fiona. I use she, her pronouns. I am a white woman with mid-length browny blonde hair. It's getting quite long now. I need a haircut at some point. And I'm wearing a black shirt with skulls on it. And my usual Lucian Yak uniform. Today we've got a nice green number with crocodiles with orange sort of detail on them. And this is Too Long Didn't Read Tabletop TTRPGs. Oh, hello, Shahik. How are you doing, my friend? Nice to have you. Yes, welcome to this stream. As always, we'll do the bingo card. Check one if Fiona didn't get any of the tech right, so that's always a good start. Yeah, we're going to do a little stream before we go and do Blood on the Clock Tower with RP Geeks this evening. And I was like, I need something that's quick and also something that's piques my interest. I keep putting back the 3 ones I keep rescheduling, and today's no different. We're going to do today a game I'm very excited for. Lazy day playing Pokemon on my Switch while I listen. Excellent. Which Pokemon is it? I must know. I think the last one I played a little bit of was Sword. And what I found was really interesting was with Pokemon, right? Is that I'm a 90s kid. I got 150 and all that sort of thing. And then everyone after that, I was like, okay, these are interesting. But then there was one on Sword, which was like a candle, and that was a ghost Pokemon. And I was like, I don't like that one, so... Brilliant Diamond, the recent remake. Ooh, exciting. I played Diamond back in the day. Not recent anymore, I suppose. No, but I played Diamond back in the day. I really liked Diamond. I thought it was great. Because it was like... Sorry, this is old woman talk, I appreciate, but like red, blue, and then yellow, and then you had gold and silver. I played silver to death, and then when Diamond came out, I was like, oh. So yeah, no, I appreciate that. So yeah, well, have fun. I hope this is not too distracting then. But yeah, today, friends, we're going to look at a new release that has finally come out. I've been very excited for this game called Deadline, a Clockwork Press, published by The Wanderer's Tome. You may have heard me sort of wax lyrical about The Wanderer's Tome before. I can't remember if we did do Flabbergast or not on this channel. I think we did, the Too Long Didn't Read. And yeah, Flabbergast is also another incredible game, which is like a 1920s, like roaring 20s, like mystery game, again by The Wanderer's Tome. We sort of brought them to my eye. But here's a link to the Deadline game whilst I'm talking about it. And yeah, Wanderer's Tome is a European TTRPG company run by 2 wonderful sisters. Is it Florence? Sorry, I don't want to get their names wrong. Fleur, there you go, Fleur and Chelsea Shortino. This is what I love about all their stuff that they produce. It's so beautiful. It's so nice. Like, the artwork is great, and I hear that they are very lovely people as well. I believe they went to Dragon Meet recently, and they go around to all the conventions. So yeah, very excited to look at their brand new game at Deadline, a Clockwork Press. So as always, we do this stuff at the top of the session. I went to go see something and then it's completely changed what I was doing. So as always, because this is more of a accountability stream, we do this. I didn't even do the thing. This is a Too Long Didn't Read, where we read a TTRPG that is interest us. Spoilers, I've just told you what it is. Whether it's from the Bookshelf of Doom or the Google Drive of Mystery, or as recently as 2 days ago when it came into my box, which is, like I said, I was very excited to play it, or at least run it. Because yeah, I'm a big fan of the Wanderer's Tome, folks, in general. Let's do the disclaimers. So, as always, I am not a game designer. I read a lot of games, I run a lot of games, but, you know, I don't have the wherewithal, I don't have the capacity, the skills, or the talent to create my own game. I'm definitely someone who pinches lots of things with other things to make their stories work. But as a result, I do feel I've got a good idea of like what makes a good story, what makes a good system or session for me if I'm running it. So I'm always on the lookout for new things and like, oh, that's really interesting. So this is a critique rather than a criticism type stream. It's my sort of thing of looking for a TTRPG that's come out and gone, ooh, I like that. Could I do this? Could I do that? Like, what is it that piques my interest about it? And so whilst some of the stuff might seem critical, I always take what I say with a pinch of salt. Second thing is, I'm not sponsored by the Wanderer's Tome, and I'm not sponsored by the Shortino sisters. I will say, like, I'm a really big fan of their stuff. We ran flabbergasted on where, and hopefully, fingers crossed, when the supplement comes out, we'll have the wonderful Zach from Relves come back and run flabbergasted again for us, because we had such a good time with it. Like, I'm a big fan of their work. I guess that's the only sort of bias I may have, but obviously not being sponsored to do this. I'm not getting any money for this at all. And then finally, content warnings. I don't know what content warnings there will be for this one. It's a very unusual game. I seem to think it's very different. That's why it sort of caught my eye. But of course, if something comes up, I'll try and flag it as and when I can. But of course, if you need to take a moment, step away from the stream, please feel free to do so. But come back if you can. It'd be great. So, as always, let's go over to the actual place where you can buy it. Because it's always good to look at the marketing copy and, like, what's the context that we see it in. So I think that's always very important before we dive into the PDF as well. So we'll get away from my big face, because I know it's terrifying for many people. Whoa. And here is the Wondrous Tome. Now, admittedly, the Wondrous Tome, it's a beautiful website. You've got lots of beautiful images. It's just there's lots of white space, and that is because I think this is optimized for mobile devices, and that is totally fine, but then it means you have really tiny writing for stuff. But you can see this is where the flabbergast stuff, this is on the homepage, and instantly it's very eye-catching. The covers are so colourful and beautiful, it's really eye-catching. That's the mystified one there that I'm really looking forward to. But yeah, Deadline itself, so this is what it looks like. I think, again, we'll click on this so we see a really cracking cover. I really enjoy the very simpleness of that sort of like, again, I'm not a designer, so I don't know the exact terminology, but like the sort of really flat colours, very simple like colour palettes, but it feels very like eye-catching as well as a result. There's not too much details in it, but it really tells you much. Like the most detail you have is with the newspaper down here, which is the whole point of this game. Yeah, I really like it. It gives me a little bit of a vibe of like Blades in the Dark, their sort of like art style. But yeah, and I'll just say, admittedly, this is a PDF version of it, but the cover is of an individual, male individual presenting. Looks like in Victorian or Edwardian garb, sort of a popped collar and a little sort of silk cravat and a waistcoat, and he's walking in front of what looks like very tall built-up houses. Again, that sort of like typical sort of Victorian architecture. So tall buildings, narrow, fitting as many people in as possible. It's all painted in sort of red, and he is holding a newspaper that says the World Herald. And at the top it says Deadline, a Clockwork Press, and then it's got a little nib at the top. So yeah, that is what we can see on the cover. Oh, and we've got, there's an animated like little GIF there of like what it looks like. That's really interesting. It's like, I guess the actual PDF itself printed out, and then it's on like a desk, but then it's got like weird like floating like dust mites around it, like sort of thing, as if you're seeing it. Very interesting. I didn't know it could do that. So didn't know that was there. But yes, I'm going to zoom in a tiny bit because there's a lot of this white space, so it makes it a little bit hard to read. There we go, a little bit better. And I'll move this across make sure everything is locked in place before I just move everything. Hang on, because otherwise everything will move and it will be embarrassing for me. All right, let's do the Chrome's moving. Yeah. Oh no, that move something else. There you go. Another one for technical difficulties. Let's lock this one in and there we go. There we go. All right, let's move this up here. So it says Deadline, a Clockwork Press. This is the PDF version. It is €10. So again, roughly £10. I'm going to say roughly maybe $13, $14. Depending on where you get it. So again, not much at all for a game which is 24 pages long. It says the PDF. It says Deadline, a Clockwork Press is a GM-less news-chronicling and map-making TTRPG. Now, map-making RPGs we know of. We've seen quite a few of them, like Beak, Feather, and Bone is the one that comes into my mind instantly. The Quiet Year, everyone's heard of. But a news-chronicling game, that's interesting. Haven't heard of that one before. In this game, players will don a quill and cap and assume the roles of journalists in the largest news publishing house in the city. What city, you ask? Well, that's for you to create and develop with 1 to 4 players, and it can be played solo. The city you will create is a place of steam-powered industry, corruption, rebellion, and a touch of the arcane. And that's it. And then here, you get, if you buy it off the Wanderer's Tome website, we'll get the PDF, which I said is 24 pages. We get a digital broadsheet and city record sheet, 3 pre-made city record sheets, interesting, and how to play online. So instantly, again, love that. I love the accessibility of it, that we can have some way to play online, and the digital sheets as well, having that so we can share that around players, especially if we're going up to 4 players. And so we've got some pre-made examples as well, which is very exciting. I'm going to go over to show you what the physical order looks like. So this is only €16, so not that much more. Again, it's quite a short, small a small TTRPG, and you'll see why in a second. What I love about it is that you can actually see what it looks like, again, the layout of it. So before that PDF, so let me go back. The PDF, we only saw the cover of it there, but the actual document, the physical thing itself, is like a newspaper. It's like a broadsheet itself. That's how it has been designed, and it comes in this very cute looking little brown envelope, and on that it's got a different cover to it at all. It says Clockwork Press Deadline, and it's like a femme individual holding a newspaper, and she's wearing the tiniest of spectacles, which I absolutely love. But yeah, you get an example there of what it looks like there, and I like that. Instantly, it has the vibes. What I always appreciate is a TTRPG goes, okay, this is this, but how can we make the layout of it feeling like as if it's a prop in the world that we are creating? Because this is a world building game as well, right? So the map making is also part of that as well. So I really love that. So yeah, I just wanted to show that. So we'll go into it in a second, but I just love how the physical copy, it feels like a newspaper. It feels great. Hello, Ben. Nice to see you, my friend. I used to work in newspapers, and I'm obsessed with this. Yes, no, as soon as I opened my PDF copy, I was like, I have to show this on TTRPGs, because it is just phenomenal. Again, it's that the tiny writing with multiple columns is so evocative of UK and Europe newspapers back in the 1920s stuff, where you just had so much information. You imagine those sort of Sherlock Holmes, big broadsheets, and you're like, how did you see that, Holmes? And you point to a thing at the back. Although I didn't used to work in newspapers. Oh, Shahig, I bet you could now. No, stick to audio. You're great at audio. Yeah, and it says here, so the pre-order for the physical one. So yeah, it comes in a format of a newspaper packed in a printed envelope sleeve. And so yeah, if you buy it now, it should arrive in the next couple of months. It's all done and dusted. The Kickstarter, the backer kit is now ended, so now it is available for pre-order. Hence why I wanted to talk about it. Yes. Let's just dive right into it, shall we? Let's go into it. So there you go. Tech is working. So this is the page itself. So it is the copy that I got is a 2-page spread. So realistically, this is only 13 pages, but there's a lot to it. Now, I always talk at the beginning about how much I hate columns in things, like tiny columns. And the more columns there is, the more I sort of go oof about it. I just think of my time reading Vampire the Masquerade. But I love how they've done this. Again, I talked about that before, about how the old newspapers used to be full of information. They didn't have those big headlines like you see on movies and stuff like that, which obviously are trying to give some exposition to what's happening. It used to be teeny tiny writing, and you have it here, but it's spread out. It's not just blocks of things. So and you've got these boxes as well. I'll have a flick through before we go into too much depth. It's spread out, and we have these little ways of showing headings that are in different colours. And even then the colour palette is so simple. We've got the oranges to indicate headlines and subheadings. I really like it. And a lot of this, from a quick glance through, is just rolling. It's just random tables, which I'm a big fan of. I love random tables. There's so many things you can roll, and it looks like 2d6 and d20s I can see there as well. So there you go. So we won't be able to read all of it, is what I'm going to say. We're going to look at how we can run this game, and maybe we'll do some rolling just to see, because again, our time is short as always. Yeah, let's dive in. I love the font. Yes, I love this stuff at the top here. The sort of almost faded, as if it's been printed in by mass-produced printing press. Love that. And yeah, and these are the 2 characters here. We've got sort of a gentleman and a lady looking inwards but holding a newspaper, which I love. All right, I'm going to zoom in a little bit. And I'll put scrolling on so we can go up and down a little bit more. There we go. And I'll put this back. This is why we check these things before we start. Oh no, that's not worked at all. What's going on here? There we go. Aha! Got it. All right, and what I like as well, sorry, I've just done all that, and I'm now going to zoom out. You probably won't be able to see it, actually. Zoom out all the way. Nope. All right, hang on. So much for... I don't know if you can see at the top. Yeah, at the top here, it says first edition, and then it has a link to the Wanderer's Stone website, which is a hyperlink. I like that. It's such a small detail. I think that's really cool. I just wanted to highlight that as well. Obviously, first things first, we always check. There doesn't seem to be any alt text, unfortunately, for the images. And I always harp on about it, but it would have been nice. Again, I don't know how much in terms of images there are in this, but it'd be nice to have like, a gentleman holding a newspaper, a lady in a steampunk Victorian dress wearing a newspaper, holding a newspaper, wearing a newspaper. Goodness sake. All right, So what we've got here. So at the top here it says Deadline, a Clockwork Press. Forge a city shrouded in the hiss and grind of the steam-powered industry, where the shadows seethe with political corruption and embers of rebellion smoulder, where arcane whispers, subtle and sinister, curl through every crooked alley and fog-drenched streets. Now, compare that to what we read about what this game was. On the website, it was like it is a news-chronicling map-making game. And then it didn't have this sort of flavor text about it. It talked about it being a steam-powered, like, corrupt stuff. It's very different, isn't it? Here is, like, again, as you're reading it, you're getting excited. Whereas the copy on the website is, like, trying to sell it to people. And I think it's selling it to people who have played TTRPGs before. Like, again, I'm thinking about the flabbergasted copy. It was like Roaring Twenties and stuff. So I wonder if having this bit at the top, you put that in the marketing copy a little bit as well. Maybe underneath the news chronicling map making thing, because again it was very simple, very concise about what it was. I think just a little bit of flavour, because I really like this. And then it says here, so on the left in a little box, to show that it's different. I like it. It says Deadline is a GM-less news chronicling and map making TTRPG from the award-winning creators of Flabbergasted. Don a quill and cap and step into the role of journalists. That's your character's name. Amazing. For the largest news publishing house in the city. So yeah, this is actually what we said here, wasn't it? What city, you asked? Well, that's for you to shape and develop together with up to 3 friends, or on your own in solo mode. Start by shaping your city's foundation in the city record, and from there, craft headlines for the broadsheet as you chronicle the city's shifting fate through random events generated from a series of tables. By the end, you'll have a living, breathing city with its own map, history, and news, perfect for future campaigns or to stand as a world unto itself. And Shahik says, eyes solo mode. Yes, I can imagine your ears pricking up at this one. But yes, I know I harp on about it every time this happens in the stream, but I love games where you can create something and go, great, here is the world we created, now let's put that into the campaign. And I love it especially when you can collaborate with other players so they can add something to the world, so it's more exciting when you come to play, go, oh, this is the city we were talking about 2 months ago, and all the stuff you created is stuff to play off. And I'm a massive fan of that sort of thing, that you could lead on to other things and be used in different systems. Absolutely love that. I also love how each one of these like key game terms, journalist, cities, solo mode, city record, broadsheets, they're in bold and they're in red to show that they're different. Love that. And it shows like these are important things that will come up. I know, again, I harp on about it, but layout is so important to, if you're like, oh, where do we put the city's foundations and all that sort of thing? It's in the city record, and we craft lines for the broadsheet. Again, it's just little things like that just make it a little bit more accessible. I very much appreciate it. I will say all of this seems to be screen readable as I sort of quickly do my screen readable thing. Again, it's just that alt text at the top. And it's also laid out spectacularly. It looks so beautiful and it's so simple, right? And it really fits in with this art style here. It's almost like sort of lino cut, sort of like ink. Again, it's that sort of screen printing thing I can imagine. Yeah. All right, so let's go into the setting. Before delving into Deadline, it is essential to understand the kinds of cities this game is built to create. Smog-cloaked and, tumultuous metropolises, where Industrial Revolution meets a touch of the arcane. These cities are defined by relentless technological advancement and are plagued with political unrest and civic strife. Social structures are disparate as tensions mount between the affluent elite and the toiling working class who suffer in the shadows of gilded towers. Lurking in the dimly lit alleys beneath the smog-belching factories are whispers of the unnatural, the arcane mysteries, enigmatic forces, and forbidden knowledge that defies understanding and threatens to destabilize the already fraught society. Magic in these worlds is scarce and misunderstood, and it is met with distrust and suspicion, with misguided reverence. Back up here. To help you conceptualize, here are some inspirations for the kinds of cities Deadline invites you to create. And so here we have a whole range of different cities that are not only I see some video games there, so Dunwall from Dishonored, Midgar from Final Fantasy VII, but we've got Ankh-Morpork from Discworld, so a book, Arkham from Lovecraft, the Mythos, and this is the one I was thinking of, Dustfall from Blades in the Dark. I've been reading a lot of that recently. So an actual other TTRPG. This is where you could be like, okay, we need a break from all the heisting. The heat's on you quite a lot right now, but hey, we're gonna have a session where we just create headlines and what happens next. Amazing, I love that. And here, one of my favorite video games of all time is Bioshock, Rapture, and Columbia. If you've not played them, I appreciate certainly Bioshock Infinite is over a decade old now. This was one of my favorite games. Again, it's that sort of mix of like the Art Nouveau, but also dystopian. And I just always remember like, would you kindly do this? Like, great. It was one of the first games, again, not going to spoil it, but it was just, so good. I don't know any of these cities. Well, this is your time to shine, Shahig. Maybe you can go and look at some. These are just examples, but if you've got an idea of like, no, I just want to start afresh, these are just give you examples of like industrial steampunk kind of cities. Like, I'd say Ankh-Morpork is more magical than steampunk. And there's a lot more sort of high fantasy stuff in it, but it's the idea of like, how do we create cities that have this political unrest and has like sort of a system, and you could just draw stuff from that. So any of these ones would be good. I think just knowing your sort of tastes myself, I think you would like a Discworld Ankh-Morpork. It's very silly in its humor, sort of broad and stuff like that. So I think that's a good one to start with personally, as you wanted a recommendation. These settings illustrate the fraught nature of Deadline strives to capture, where technology and the arcane coexist, where societal tensions are as much of a character as the people inhabiting the cities. Now that's very interesting. I know I go on about this a lot. I think in improv, right, when you get a suggestion of a location, people go like, and you either get one or two like sort of suggestions. You go, oh, I'd love a location, and someone will go like, the office. You go, okay, the office is a mundane setting, so your characters need to be extraordinary and different and weird. But then if you get something like, give us a location, and people go, a castle, people go, oh, we can be really anything, and they'll go off, but they won't acknowledge that it's a very unusual place to be, right? And I'm a massive fan of making sure that we do service to the location. Like, the location is a character. It's very Thomas Hardy of me, I know, where you just talk about how the Heath is as part of the world, as a character itself is always there, all that sort of thing. So that's what I like about this, is that it's acknowledging that this is a city, we're spending time in the city to develop its character before we develop ourselves, which is good. Oh, my camera's all a bit skew with, but oh no, I've mucked that up completely. There we go. A little bit better. Of course not as soon as I sit back down. There we go, perfect. And it says here at the bottom, will you expose the city's rot as truth-seeking rebels, or serve as puppets of the elite? All right, and then I'm going to zoom out so you can see like the actual two-page spread that it does. I'll just spread out a little bit more if I can. There you go. So yeah, so again, it goes roughly into sort of 3 columns, but we have gorgeous sort of map symbols here and icons. We also have some nice sort of line drawings as well. So yeah, so I love the layout of it. And here at the top, it says it here, like page, has the page numbers at the top and the title on every page. I love it. Big fan. All right, well, let's, can I zoom in? There we go. I'm gonna have to move this around, I think. So we'll do it there. And I'll move, I don't think I can move that down. There we go, I could do that. All right, it's a little bit skew whiff all around, but you know what? We'll live and learn. So there we go. That's a little bit better, isn't it? Yeah. So On the left here, it says requirements, and there's a little bag to indicate what you need for the game. There's the requirements. We need dice. We need 1d12, 2d6, and 1d20. We need printouts of the broadsheet and the city record. We need pens or pencils or erasers in different colours, and then roughly 1 to 3 hours and 1 to 4 players. And then it says at the top the sequence of play. A game of Deadline unfolds in 2 phases. We have the establishment phase and the chronicling phase. The establishment phase is the first phase of the game, and you'll be laying out the foundations of your city. Together, it's actually a bit tiny, that writing, isn't it? I'll zoom in a little bit more. There we go. There we go. Together, players will create and document the city's key details, so its name, the environment, districts, arcane influence, primary technology, political climate, and more. Each element is inscribed onto the city's record sheet, with players taking turns to add to the map and flesh out its story. Think of this phase as journalists piecing together the official city archive, updating the records and uncovering secrets that will shape what is to come. Ooh. Let's move this across a little bit. There we go. So once the city's foundations are laid, the game moves on to the chronicling phase, where the journalists take on both the role of historians and provocateurs? I know I've seen that word so much I never say it out loud. Provocators? Question mark. Begin with by naming your newspaper and defining its editorial tone. Is it a fearless, truth-seeking, exposing? I'll say that again, Fiona. Is it a fearless truth seeker exposing corruption in the upper echelons, or a gilded mouthpiece for the elites? Following this, journalists take turns documenting the city's evolution and volatile events generated through a series of tables. Year by year, headline by headline, the broadsheet will be a chronicle of the seismic. I know it's like seismic events that shape your city's fate, all seen through the lens of the press. Every article adds to the city's layered history and unravels into a narrative as tumultuous and predictable as the city itself. I did not realise it was going to be as flowery with its words. I mean, I'm very appreciative of it, but gosh, it's hard to read out. And here we've got an example of a thank you, Shahid. Provocateurs. 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 Yes. Welcome to Fiona's not being able to pronounce something. That's another thing on your bingo card, folks. And here's an example of a map of a particular city here, which I guess they might have just... Is that just an example we could use? And maybe it comes up later. We could see. Alright, we'll move over to the next page. Accent on the last symbol. Oh, last syllable. Provocateurs? I think. At least I could be wrong, I guess. I mean, you did a better job than I did, to be honest. At least you wrote it out. I was just sort of like, no, I'm going to keep on hammering it on. Anyway, terminology and game concepts. Oh, I don't think you can see that top bit there of the page. No, you cannot. Oh, I need to move it across. That's why. There we go. Oh no, why is it not showing all the things? I have to zoom this out a little bit. You can see it. There we go. A little bit better. There we go. So before delving into the 2 phases of the game, here's some guidelines and a look at the elements and terminology you'll encounter in Deadline. So what is a map-making game? A map-making tabletop role-playing game is where the players work together to create a map that becomes a living chronicle of their city. Each player takes turns... Oh, hang on, don't go down too far, Fiona. Each player takes turns drawing elements onto the map and guided by prompts rolled from tables that provide inspiration for the city's evolving landscape. A single prompt might call for a sprawl of canals dividing the city, a bustling market square where rebellion is incited, or dominating the fortress, or the dominating fortress that says, no, why have we disconnected? Oh, now, am I still here? My thing just disconnected briefly, and I'd like to know if I'm back. So let me know in the chat, friends. It just disconnected for me. That's annoying. Did I drop frames? You're back. Yeah, no, my OBS just disconnected. It's not doing very well, and now it's back. I must have had to drop things. I'm back on Twitch, probably on a different a YouTube video now, so that's unfortunate. A little bit annoying. I blipped too. Hi, you're back. I blipped too. No, I think it was my OBS definitely dropped then, so apologies for that. You've not missed much. That's just going to be annoying to put it all together later. Anyway, all you've missed was me talking about the the icons. So yeah, we've got like a Colosseum here. We've got some flags. Oh, is this on YouTube too? Well, it should be. We'll find. You might have like 2 or 3 videos now. I stream at the same time. I'm not supposed to do that, but so yeah, it'll be on YouTube later as well. But we've got a couple of castles and whatnot. I've got some industrial buildings at the bottom here as well, which is quite nice. All right, let's go to this next bit. So discussion stage. Before you set ink to paper, gather your group for a conversation about the city you want to create. What themes? What are they going to do? Fire you? I think everyone does it, lol. Yeah, no, I agree. I feel like it's, I mean, like, the worst what will happen is I won't be able to stream on Twitch anymore. Which I don't think is necessarily the worst thing in the world. So, I mean, I say that. No doubt there'll be a bot coming in and just close me down instantly. Because I wanted to be able to put them on YouTube quickly and easily without too much editing, so that other people can look at them later. Because I know Twitch, I don't Twitch enough, so things don't get like held up in the cloud. Before you can set ink to paper, gather your group for a conversation about the city you want to create. So what themes intrigue you? What tones do you want to emphasize? What groups may relish delving into political intrigue, some groups may relish delving into the political intrigue, class struggles, and the unease of arcane forces, whilst others might choose to keep those shadows at bay. Whilst Deadline is designed to conjure grim, smog-shrouded cities fraught with peril and secrets, the level of darkness and despair is yours to control. Together, you'll decide how deep the rot runs and how much light, if any, pierces through. When drawing the map in Deadline, you're not trying to draft an architect's blueprint or an artist's masterpiece. Instead, think of your map as a rough and functional record, an evolving document of the city's geography and history. If your group happens to include skilled artists, by all means, let their talents shine. But remember, the goal is clarity, not perfection. Use simple lines and shapes that everyone can understand. A crooked tower, a jagged bridge, or even crude symbols are all you need to capture the spirit of the city. If you do need a helping hand, you can use the map symbols in the ledger to the left. And remember to draw your buildings and symbols quite small, as there's a lot to draw on this map. So this is interesting. I really like this. Again, it makes me think of The Quiet Year by Avery Alder. And how like you'd have like a big space and people could draw whatever they want on it. And it really encouraged that sort of like, it says crudeness, but that sort of like it's very simplistic drawing so that everyone knows what it is. Like you can obviously add details, and I like the idea of like if you are talented artists and you're drawing together, then absolutely go ahead and do it. I'm thinking of the other game that I sort of mentioned it before, the Feather Beak Bone game map game, which Shahig, I know you were looking for different kinds of solo games. I'd recommend checking that one out, where you already have the map of the city done, but you colour in different buildings and then describe the stories about it, like how the different factions, the powers are. I don't know if it will work necessarily for audio, but it was very interesting to read about it as a visual thing and come together talking about like how certain factions work, and you had lots of different like fantasy cities. Feather Beak, I believe it's Beak Feather Bone. I think that's what it's called. I can see the image of it is like a bird in a hat on the front of it. Where was I? For added clarity, use different coloured pencils to distinguish between elements. One colour for topography, like rivers and hills, another for districts, and a third for landmarks. This visual distinction helps the city remain. Could always be a Patreon visual bonus. Oh, absolutely, absolutely. This visual distinction helps the city remain legible even as additional layers are added. prompts and questions. Sorry, yeah, that's right. Under each table of the following pages, you'll find prompts tied to the dice rolls. A prompt may include evocative flavor text, specific instructions for what to draw, and questions to spark your imagination. Follow the instructions under the prompts and to add elements to your map, but treat the questions as inspiration. They're not something you need to answer. I like that a lot. At the top here. Okay, so feel free to go beyond the prompts. If your group invents an unprompted landmark or geography feature that feels natural to the city story, then add it to the map. So changing the map. So a city, like its map, is always evolving and shifting. As the game unfolds, your city will grow and transform, influenced by the passage of time, key events, and the decisions made by the players. The map becomes more than just a geographical representation, and it becomes a living chronicle of your city. Over the course of the game, elements can be altered to reflect the passage of time or pivotal events. A palace might be repurposed into a university, its gilded spires transformed into observatories. A once thriving district might collapse into ruin under the weight of a riot. These changes keep the map alive, mirroring the evolution of the city's story. Districts represent specific areas that define the character of the city. During the establishment phase, you'll create 8 districts, each distinct in its purpose and atmosphere. You'll have the flexibility to divide them however you like. Districts can be divided with straight lines to reflect a more bureaucratic city, or with flowing irregular boundaries to represent the city's organic growth. District sizes can also vary dramatically, with some sprawling over vast areas and others sprouting in forgotten corners of the city. And then finally here it says religions and factions. So in the city record sheet, you'll find sections for factions and religions. Whilst a few prompts will specifically ask you to discuss and list a faction or religion, they aren't frequent. And the purpose of these 2 sections is to provide a space for you to list religions and factions as they emerge during your discussions. You don't have to wait for a prompt. Perhaps you establish a place of worship and have an idea that is controlled by a fanatic cult, or fighting arena that was erected by a group of racketeering gangs who menace the city streets. Embrace any idea that make your city come to life. I really like how I know this is the point of the game, but it really is focusing on that, like, the city is alive. It is here, it is buzzing with, it's teeming. Everything is going on, it never stops, right? So, let's go to the actual phase. So the establishment phase, and I can see some you can't see it just currently, but there's some tables here, which we can look at in a second. So, during the establishment phase, you and your group will be journalists, creating and cataloguing the starting conditions of your city. Each player will take turns generating one aspect of the city, drawing this on the map section of the city record sheet. This involves rolling dice, consulting the table, and drawing the respective element. If you're playing solo, you will roll and decide on every aspect of the city yourself. And then there's an example here, which again, what I quite like, the play example, it is sort of it's done like a quote style layout where we have these 2 lines and it goes example. I like that. We're not going to read it through because I think it's fairly straightforward, but it's nice that there is examples here. Oh look, and then here there's a box beneath which is talking about the round example, so how a round might look. I love that, and it says here's how we built a city step by step. Elijah and Olivia take turns to create the city of Velora. Velora? Yeah. And so they've got 8. That's really cool. I like that. Alright. So throughout the establishment phase, as players roll for elements, they work together to discuss how each piece fits into the bigger picture, gradually shaping the narrative of their city. Every element is added only after the group discussion and input. And below, like that round example there, we'll walk through the entirety of the establishment phase. There you go. So it's like almost like 8 steps here. We've got, I'm just going to say here, right? Roll for the city environment, divide the map into 8 districts. Oh, you can't see it, sorry. Roll for political climate, roll for power source, roll for primary industry, roll for arcane influence, and then roll 8 times for notable features. And then finally, the final 8th step, give a name to your city. Really straightforward. I love that, how simple it is. And I wonder, it will tell us on this other side, but I do like how, even in the round example here, we've got it like the step name is a different color. It's a little bit of embolding stuff which tells you what the result is, which I quite like as well. And yeah, so that's a nice quick way of looking through if you're like not sure what to do. And if for whatever reason you're finding the layout hard to read, I think it's easy enough. I will say the text is quite small. Again, not saying that's a problem, it's sort of in keeping with the vibes, right? So I very much appreciate that. Let's look over then, let's go look at city environments. So what city structure will you bring to life? Ooh, and hey, look at this. They've got little adverts here on the left, on the right, sorry. Oh, you can't see it, sorry. I got very excited and then you can't see it. Let me zoom out a little bit. So you got little like adverts that you would see as if an actual thing. So here it's like the soloist. Do you yearn for adventure beyond the limits of common society, yet find companions often indisposed? Have you wished to traverse fantastical worlds, uncover ancient mysteries, or build the mighty empires from the comfort of your reading room? The soloist is your faithful guide. This is so cute. Yeah, I really love it. I love this. Again, it feels. I've been playing a lot of Red Dead Redemption, right? And when you're going through like the newspaper articles, they have these artworks, they have these little adverts, these sort of like really detailed line drawing stuff. Like it's really fun. It feels very evocative. So I really love that. So let's look at this first one. We'll skip through because we don't need to read them all. We'll do a little bit of rolling together. All right. So for this one. City environment. So what city structure will you bring to life? And it says a D12 there. Like I know that means roll a D12. I think you need to say roll a D12 because look, yeah, it's screen readable. We've got the dice icon there and it says D12, but I don't know if you would know that. Like it says in the example, you won't be able to see it unless I move it back. It says Elijah begins phase 1 by rolling a d12 to determine the environments. We know it is there somewhere. It's in the example. But if you weren't reading the example, like I choose not to read, I wouldn't know that was that's what you'd have to roll for this one. Again, that's like a small thing. I would just put like roll a d12, you know. So let's do that. Let's do it. Get my little dice out. I said I wasn't going to do it, and then I'm absolutely going to do it because I want to see what we can get. Okay. So the first roll is a 5. A 5 is a sky city. We are going to Columbia after all. So let's read what the sky city says. Oh, she says zooming out. So it says here, Sky City. A city elevated above the ground using magic or advanced technology with sprawling platforms and interconnected bridges. Draw platforms with interconnected bridges to form the structure of your city. Oh, that's very cool. Oh, of course, that makes sense. And yeah, you can see other ones here, like the underwater city says draw domes or enclosed structures interconnected tunnels to shape your city. So it's not just like a, cliffside city. Like there are ways to get it bigger. Like the mountain city here, it says, draw the border of a city and the contours within it. Draw pathways connecting through these different levels. So you're in the mountains itself. Oh, that is very cool. Love that. All right, then it was like divide the map up into 8 sections. So you would do that then. Again, I'm going to see, maybe I'll look in a second to see what the pre-generated maps look like to give an example, because we don't have an example here. The only example we've had of a map is this one up here, which is split into 8 sections, right? So that is fair. But I think, like, to see one, if you've got, like, bubbles or domes or platforms, I'd love to see what that looked like as an example. Maybe it won't be in this core book, but maybe it'll be in, one of the example ones if I get time to look at it. Alright, let me just move this a little bit out of this way so you can see it. So it says political climate. What political landscape defines your city? So if we've got our Sky City, I'm going to roll another d12 because that's what it says to do. That is a 6. We've got military rule. Oh, it is Columbia. Oh no. So a military rule. This rule is maintained by a council of military leaders who seize power through force, imposing martial law and suppressing dissident to maintain control. But we've got communism. There's number 1 there. Authoritarian, democratic republic, crime syndicate, monarchy, hierarchy, 2 rulers. Oh, interesting. So yeah, we've got a lot of stuff there. And afterwards it says, oh, there's another example here. Oh, sorry. It says, Draw. Draw a headquarters to represent the seat of power and note down the political climate. Note down any political factions or religious factions mentioned in your discussion. So again, it's very open. This sort of like, what do we think? You know, if we got like military rule, then we're like, it's a council of military leaders. So is that? I wonder if it's the sky. You'd have someone who is controlling of the air base, perhaps. Maybe the air force is more important than, say, the naval folks. You know, unless you're over the sea, for example. And here's another example of a map down here, which has been split up, and you can see there's like a little lake there, Valora. So that was the example they used there. I wonder then, this one, like, is that going to be used later on as a different example? I would maybe put Valora here, perhaps, but maybe they wanted to show one that's got a few more of these images on, these icons. Sorry. Okay, so that's us. That's 2 steps. Let's see what the power source is. So, how is power generated for your city? Now, it'll be interesting because we are up in the sky for our example. Let's see. I'm going to roll again. So this. Oh, it's a D6. This one. Oh, sorry. Okay, D6. That's a 5. Lightning coil. That totally makes sense. Illuminated by lightning coils, electric arcs pulses throughout the city, giving it power. And how do they harness this power? That's an interesting question to have. I would have had some questions for the political climate, perhaps. Maybe I probably wouldn't have some for the Sky City, perhaps. But I like how he's like, where does it come from? What are we doing? You know, that's good. And note down the power source in the city record sheet. So it's almost like do the thing, and then here's the action to do. So I appreciate that. I maybe would have put that in a different color, perhaps, to make it bright, because obviously it shows this here. I like it. It's almost boxed. It's almost like a flowchart in a sense. All right, the primary industry. We're back to a D12. So what is the city's primary industry and trade? We've got 12 examples. Now this will be interesting. What does a sky city run by military leaders that main power is electric coils? The answer is, of course, natural resources. Sent you something on Discord. The game reminded me. You can look at it later, of course. Oh no, thank you, Shahid. I appreciate it. I will absolutely check it out. Natural resources. So extracting minerals directly from the earth is your city's main industry. What is your city's natural resource? I don't know if I can extract things from the earth if I'm in the sky, unless I have some sort of drilling thing. But I guess natural resource must be something to do with the clouds. Water, perhaps. Like you're catching clouds and you're wringing them out for the water because it's fresh from the source, I guess. Maybe that's what I was saying. But of course, I'm thinking stuff like security and surveillance was what I was thinking, or even mechanical suits. Oh, look at that. Mechanical prosthetics. That's really cool. I love that. So yeah, there you go. And then you note that down. And then if I go across here, we've got step 5. Oh, sorry, move this across. You can see. So step 5 is arcane influence. What arcane influences are present in your city? So it's another D12. Oh, that dice went off the table. It's another 2. Or magic black market we've got. Oh, let me move it across. Items of a dubious nature run rife within the black market. And it says, what mysterious artifacts grace its stalls? Do these items hold arcane properties whispered in hushed tones? Ooh. Black market stuff. Well, again, because I'm thinking of Dustfall, and they have the spark rights where you have and spark runners, where they use that electricity to run stuff. So I wonder if you'd have like shoes or gloves which make you like run quicker, like almost parkour using the lightning to jump over and stuff. That's the sort of thing I'm thinking of straight off. But like, what else could we have? Like echoes of the past lives. I mean, that instantly is like the ghost field for Dustfall. Eternal fog, whispers in the dark. Shapeshifters. Oh, very good. Look, another advert. Oh, these are great, aren't they? Swift words far reached, connecting hearts and minds across the miles. That's the telegram. I read a story. Sorry, this is a big sidetrack. I read a story recently about the inventor of the telegram, and it's a very sad story. But essentially, he was he? I don't know if he was a painter. He must have been a painter, or yeah, he was a fine art painter of some sort, and he worked really hard on it. And for the first 50 years, that's all he did. And then he got asked to paint a very important VIP. I think it was like one of the not founding fathers, but like I want to say the equivalent of like Lafayette from Hamilton. That sort of vibe. So he had to leave his wife and his children. He went across country to Washington, and the night before this person was going to sit for their portrait, he got the news that his wife was very ill. So he rushed back across the country, taking several days, because it took several days to get to and from places. And by the time he get there, not only had she passed away, she'd passed away before the letter even reached him, and that she'd already been buried. And he didn't want that to ever happen to anyone else again. Like, he thought he'd be able to be by her side as she recovered or grew iller. So he invented the telegram as a result. I just thought that was an amazing story of like he wanted to make sure that the story talked about like how he really saw like shapes and stuff like and the distances between them, and he wanted to reduce the distance between other people so that the news could get to people quicker. I just thought that was a really cool story. And then we've got Leo and Leonin. Magical remedies. It says, for your beloved furry companions, ask for the Leo Leonin toxin. No, not toxin. Tonic from your local nostrum, or enclose 2 copper in a sealed envelope, developed by Dr. Doolittle in collaboration with Dr. Leo and Nurse Leonin. What is nostrum? I'm going to find out what that word actually means. Let me find this without breaking anything. Yeah, you'll see that. Let me just put this back out here. Nostrum. A medicine, it says, especially one that is not considered effective. Prepared by an unqualified person. Oh no. Oh, that's quite funny. Okay. Anyway, sorry, I got distracted by the adverts. Okay, so we did Magical Black Markets. That was that one. And then, here we go. 66 we've got here. So notable features, this is step 6. What are the distinct landmarks of your city? So in this section, you will fill out your map by drawing various landmarks giving shape to your city's story and character. Firstly, draw the elements below on your map. And once that is done, take turns to roll 8 times on the following table. So we have here a place of worship, the town square, aristocratic dwellings, slum dwellings, and residential dwellings. So it's almost like, again, that sort of class system there. And it says here, the place of worship, who or what do the citizens worship here? Is this the primary religion found in the city, or is it a fringe practice? And give a name to that religion. The town square. So what can one find in the square? What events take place here? And then aristocratic dwellings, grand dwellings for the wealthy. What class or group of people reside here? What form do these dwellings take? The slum dwellings, so these are the dwellings for poorer citizens of your city. What conditions are they in? And then finally, regular essential living spaces for the majority of your citizens. What the form did these dwellings take? There you go. And then we've got an example like, now this is a good example of like the different sort of islands, and we've got sort of like the little bridges and whatnot. So it's like an archipelago, isn't it? Amazing. And then it says here, how do you roll a d6? So it gives you an example how to do this. So you roll a d6 and let that one be the tens digit, and then another one to be the ones digit. All right. So we won't do all of them. We'll do. Should we do 3 and see what we've got? So yeah, it goes all the way here. So we'll do 3. I'll get another dice as well. Oh, this is a lot of fun. I thought about this. I might have saved this for an actual Where podcast, but it's all good fun. All right, so we'll do 3 of these. The first roll of the game. Oh, well, I don't need to worry about tens and units, so that's an 11. So we've got a grand observatory. Let me zoom in a little bit. So grand observatory is a towering observatory crowned with brass domes and intricate telescopes used for studying celestial phenomena and anomalies. Who is allowed access to this observatory, and does this observatory have a respected reputation? Now I like that one because again we're a sky city, so it makes sense that we would be looking towards the sky and the stars, trying to get into. We must go beyond. We must go higher than all these other cities. All right, next one. Oh, that is. I'm gonna put the blue. I want to see what 62 is. What is 62? 62 is you can't see it, but the reveal is it's a postal system. Mail to and from the city is sorted and sent out from here. How are packages and mail sent out, and what system is used? Well, my gut says birds. I think those are for quick messages, but around the city, I think if it's a technological advancement thing. It's one of those tubes. You know, they get sucked in. So it's using the air tubes. Are they pneumatic tubes? I don't know if that's right. But that's the, you know, where you put one and it goes, whoop, and it goes off into the system. That's my idea. And then we'll do one more. That is a 46, bang in the middle. A marketplace, a place where vendors can sell or trade their wares. And what stores are set up here, and what do they sell? They sell merchandise, of course. I immediately thought of those tubes too. Yeah, exactly. See, we're on the same wavelength. Marketplace. What do they sell? Yeah, I think tourist stuff. Like, why would you come to a flying city? What could you possibly need if you're in the sky? Maybe you have stuff that is you can only get on the ground. So maybe you get plants. Maybe it's like you have like a little you become plant dad. You know, all these little like things because you don't have the soil. So soil is probably a big commodity actually. There you go. Oh, yeah, I can see myself having a lot of fun with this. These are really good prompts as well. I'm a big fan of random tables, as people know. But I like how these are all very specific things. Looking around, you can see there's a library there, there's a prison, a lighthouse. Imagine having a lighthouse on a sky city. I mean, you might think that might not make sense, but if you've got ships coming in, of course you need to show that you might crash into the city at some point. So I like that. A public house there I can see on the left. Yeah, they're nice enough. They're sort of like specific, but also vague enough so you can jump off. And I really like having the little prompts here as well. Really cool. And then at the bottom here, she says, trying to get there, we have now that you've drawn out your city and documented the details on a city record sheet, it's time to put some finishing touches. So the most important thing of all, which you're always going to worry about, is coming up with a name for your city. The name can be evocative of your city's environment, or it can draw inspiration from the ruling authority or dominant religion of the city. And once you've chosen the name, note it in the relevant section of your sheet. If you need help naming a city, I always do, we can go to the city name generator on page 22. Yes! Amazing. I can see some examples here. We've got Emberfall, Stormwatch, Shadowcrest. I like Shadowcrest. Gallows Moor, Vermilion Bay. Oh, maybe one of those Pokemon ones. Cloudwater. Well, is that the name of the city you're thinking? But yeah, maybe the marketplace I'm thinking. Yeah, where you're selling those stuff. That's true. And then before you move on to phase 2, you have the option to make any changes to the map. Perhaps a landmark now feels out of place, or you want to redraw the boundaries of a district. Also, be sure to double check the city record sheet in case you forgot to note down any details like religions or factions. And then on to phase 2, the chronicling phase. Nice, I like it. Naming things are my kryptonite. Is my kryptonite. Yes, I'm the same. I think you've seen me Shahid, looking around the room. I'm just looking, going like, what can I look on my wall for inspiration? And I'm like, D&D manual. You can't call it that. I like that. A nice, easy, straightforward phase 1 of world building. I love that. And now we go on to the chronicling phase 2. How are we doing on time? Oh, we've got plenty of time, so that's good. So now that the facts of your city have been established and documented on the city record sheet, it is time for the chronicling phase. In this phase, maybe I'll zoom in a tiny bit more. This is a little bit too small for me. Yeah. You are all journalists, and it is your responsibility to reflect what is happening in your city. And this is done by writing captivating news headlines on your broadsheet. Before you get started, you must establish some aspects of your newspaper. So again, I like this idea that not only are we creating a city, but we're also creating one of the ways information is presented in the city. It reminds me very much, and maybe another touchstone for this would be Shard, the city. Is it not called Shard? Shard. In the Eberron city, we've got one of the I think it's Sharn, City of Towers. That's what it's called, not City of Brass. That's something else. They have lots of different newspapers, and each of them are slightly different. It's like, well, this is the propaganda one. This is the Truth Seeker, the expose newspaper, all that sort of thing. So I like that we're creating already a way that information gets around. It's not something I really think about too much when I create a city. I don't think about how information can be brought around. So I really like it. before you get started, so let's decide on the tone for our newspaper. This involves the type of headlines you'll be looking to create. Are you a neutral paper, looking at every happenstance with a critical eye? Are you highly skeptical of your governing body and operate from the fringes? Or are you simply a mouthpiece, interpreting everything with a positive spin to flatter the ruling class? I think this is really interesting because your gut, maybe as players, is to be like, well, I want to be neutral about it. But actually, I think you'll have more fun on being on one or two of the extremes because you're already going to be having that discussion, that meta discussion about what is happening. And you go, okay, but now how do we spin this as the mouthpiece of that? Now, again, your mileage may vary, certainly with what's going on in the world right now in terms of, press doing things. So, yeah, depending on how your players are, but I can imagine it'd be really fun as a creative exercise to be one of those two extremes that you know what happened, but then how does it interpret it and how do you spin it in a positive or negative light? So I quite like that. Next, name your newspaper. More naming. Next, you'll choose a name for your newspaper. You could consider reflecting your city's name or capturing the tone of your publication in the title. Below are some of the names we used in our games of Deadline. So we've got the Inquirer. I love that. Oh, that's good. That's really good. We've got the Watcher, the Nilburn Tribune, Vox Day, the Tattled Tale, the Defiant, and the Kilmer Courier. Not Courtier. That is a different kind of information pamphlet. So I wonder, maybe there'll be, again, if you're using that city name generator, you could always get the name of the city and be like Chronicler, or the Way, that sort of like the Dustfall Way, etc. Then we go to the rounds of play. So in this phase, similar to the establishment phase, you will take turns and roll dice. This time, after rolling the dice and consulting the respective event from the tables below, you'll come up with a catchy headline to reflect your event and write it on your broadsheet. These events reflect what is happening in your city during the time that you are chronicling as a reporter. Below are some examples of events that we've rolled in our games and the headlines we've come up with. Okay. Oh yes, you said the same thing. No, but this is the thing, right? It's good we're on the same page. You might just want to keep it dead simple, right? You might just want to be like, the Chronicler, I'm just trying to think of like, what have I got at home? Like, we've got like, one I always remember is like the Manchester Evening News, because it comes out in the evening. We've got the Metro in London, like there's that free newspaper that goes around. So maybe it's that same sort of thing. If it's the Sky, the Daily Cloud or something like that. Cumulonimbus. It's like Cloud Watch. So here we've got some examples. Oh, interesting. So we would roll for, presumably it's a d20, and it gives you an example of an event. And then here we've got all eyes on us. New police surveillance invention raises privacy concerns. The Daily Cloud. Exactly. We're getting it. Oh, amazing. And so we've got some examples here. And it says, aside from writing a headline for each event, you may also interpret the event visually on your map to further catalogue your city's story. News cycle. So there is an order to follow when rolling for events and writing headlines. This process is outlined in the news cycles. Each news cycle consists of 6 headlines, an arcane headline, 4 minor headlines chosen from 4 different categories, and a major headline. The minimum you can play is 1 news cycle. Oh, that's nice. Maybe there's no max cycles. Follow the order above by rolling under the corresponding headline table and reading its event. Then craft your headline that reflects what is happening in your city. So here we go. We've got the news cycle here. So yeah, so it's almost like in red here we've got the arcane headline, and then the major headline, and then the 4 minors in between. So I presume then these are the 2, like, that's the front page and back page, perhaps. And then I guess that's what it's maybe referring to. I wonder what's the difference between arcane and major headline is. Well, I'm sure we'll find out in a second, but I'd be interested to know. So rolling for minor headlines. When rolling for events, arcane and major headlines are straightforward. However, the minor headlines, you must roll a d6 to determine the category, then followed by a d20 to roll within that particular category. Oh man, there's so many rolling, like great rolling tables, random tables. The resulting number will indicate the event for which you'll create the headline. Length of a game. So at the start of the chronicling phase, decide how many news cycles you'll be covering. We recommend 1, 2, or 3 news cycles. This will determine both the length of your chronicling period and the length of the game. It is a good idea to establish the number of news cycles as a group. You can choose to change this mid-cycle, either ending the cycle early or adding an extra one. I think that's interesting because it feels like this is a game that you just do in one big session, right? You don't do multiple ones of this, but of course if someone has to go, all that sort of thing. So I like how you can change. It was not going to affect too much if you're like, oh, we did say we were going to do 3, but we're just about to start 2, and so has to leave. Let's shorten 2 and just end it there. And it says here, ending, a news cycle ends with a major headline purposely to give a satisfactory final act to your chronicling phase, no matter how many news cycles you've played. A big ending is always more impactful. Feel free to, oh, you can't see it, because I was like, wait, that doesn't make any sense. How is it different? There you go, you can't see it, that's why. I feel free to make the final headline of your news cycle more dramatic than the others. Of the last news cycle. Okay, interesting. Okay, and there's a round example here. Amazing. So yeah, here's how the phase begins. So I'm going to zoom out a little bit. So in this particular one, they name and give the tone to the newspaper. So this, for them, they go the Valoran Vanguard. And then the news cycles, they go for a single news cycle. The arcane headline and the 4 minor ones, and then the big one at the wait, did it? Oh, so they roll for that 4 minor ones here, and then the major one. Amazing. Look at these adverts. So we have here Occult and Tarot readings, the Emperor of Epiphanies, sorry, the Viscount of Visions, the Sultan of Surprises. Master Vincio has arrived to answer all of your thoughts and concerns. Need to know if that new career will be worth it? Will you find the love of your life, or is fortune just within reach? Worry no more and come visit the world-renowned psychic himself. And then it gives a link. Then it goes for $5. Oh, it's a lot. It's a lot for I'm thinking of Dustfall. It's money's, and sort of Victorian money is all different. Appointments and walk-ins are... I love this. You know what I'm thinking just now? I would really love it if there was a way to create... if you were going to... Again, I'm big-braining it. This is project scope happening, right? If you made your own actual newspaper and you had a physical copy to make, so you do the headlines for that, I would love to be able to roll for adverts, have a random table of adverts that you could make. And again, it doesn't have to be it doesn't have to be drawn out or anything like that, but I just really like that idea of just, yeah, of course, you've got all these things, and now what other adverts can we have inside next to these storylines, these headlines? I would really love that. And then it says, Feline Lucky, roll the dice with Ferguson Games. I love that. That's so cute. I would love that. I would have that as a patch or as a sticker. I'm already thinking I would have these as stickers. All right, so arcane headlines. It doesn't really say what an arcane headline is. I'm just trying to see, it doesn't really say what they are and why they're different to major headlines. So it says here, roll at the start of the news cycle, you roll a d20. I mean, we'll roll. And I assume they are, it looks like from the quick glance, there's lots of it as time travel there. We've got some magic stuff. So it has to be something unusual. It's the magic element of it there. So I get that. All right, let's roll the d20. Ooh, oh, well, that dice is lost forever now. Let's use the other one. Let's do this one. What's a 17? I don't know where that dice has gone. I'll find it after the stream. A 17 is... Oh, here we go. A time traveler arrives. That was lucky for me. Let me zoom in. A newcomer to the city is asserting that they are a time traveler. What time do they claim to be from? Are the locals embracing them or rejecting them? Oh, so that's your Doctor Who story right there. Someone stranded without a TARDIS. Absolutely. Love that. Okay. And then... Major headlines. So this we'd roll at the end of a news cycle, but it's here now, so I guess we'll bookend them, right? We'll bookend them. So we've got the time traveler, and then we've got 7 was our one that we just rolled. 7 is... Whoop. A new cult is formed. Oh no! It was going so well. So a new cult is formed. Oh, can you see? It's formed within the city. What is this new cult? Who or what are they devoted to, and who are its leaders? Interesting. So I guess it just gives... I wonder, again, maybe it's trying to... Does it encourage you to, like, keep the stories very different? So, like, we've got the time travel at the top and the cult at the end. Like, in my head, if I was making this game with my friends, I'd say to them, don't try to connect the stories. They've got to be quite separate. But then after each news cycle, we can bring back previous elements. So that time traveler might come back in the second news cycle doing something. It's like a daily thing. Like the evening newspaper, you've got it and you go, oh, a time traveler is here. Oh, that new Rakdos cult is really spreading, huh? But they're not connected. No joke, I was zoned out for like 40 seconds and got pulled back in when I heard Doctor Who. Oh, well, I'm glad my Doctor Who knowledge has come back in there. But yeah, that's what I would wonder. It's like if you would have these elements and you wouldn't connect them all in the same thing. I think the temptation would be there to do so. I would say, like, don't connect them in that. Don't try not to connect things. There's separate storylines happening with the news in the city, because that's what happens in normal newspapers. All right. Oh, and now why don't we roll for the 4 minor headlines that we would get? So for this, we have to firstly roll the category, which is a D6, which it doesn't, like, again, it says up here, I don't know if you can see it, like here, minor headlines 2, environmental. I think, does it say anywhere what it would be? No, it doesn't. I think you need a little ledger saying, like, roll 1d6. Okay, that is, you got a 5. That is going to be, that is infrastructure and innovation. You know, I think, again, you have to put it there somewhere. Like, I know it's a D6 because I read the example. It said the example earlier. So let's have a roll. We'll do 4 headlines. So we'll do the first one. We'll do this one. That's a 3. And in 3, we get 13. Unlucky for some. All right, 3, 13. So 3 is unrest. Oh, is that time traveler, honestly. And then a new drug. Ooh, interesting. Okay, again, feel that. So a new drug is being distributed throughout the city. How is it being distributed, and what effects does it have on its users? Now, obviously, again, lines and veils and all that sort of thing. Maybe people are like, "Oh, I'm not so sure about how do we need to have stuff about drugs here." But it does. I would say here, if you got that particular one, I can see one up top of there is that ganged form as well. If you're like, how can we switch it? So maybe the drug isn't an actual sort of like substance that you would inject or you would eat. Maybe it is something like technology, like people are on their screens or something like that, like an addiction like that perhaps. And it's like people getting TVs or something. Like, again, there's a way to interpret these things. That's the only thing I just thought there's, that people might be like, oh, I don't want to talk about drugs in that sort of sense. All right, let's do a few more. So that's okay, so 1 is on our a political, it says here, and 16 for political. Ascension to power. An up-and-coming figure climbs the political ladder, but at what cost? Who is left behind in the climb to power? Oh, who was left behind in their climb to power? And I've just had a thought as well. What if you rolled, again, you only roll the arcane and the major headlines once per cycle, but if you rolled the same one again, say if we've gone to the second cycle and we rolled a time traveler arrives again, again, it doesn't say it here, and maybe it will say it later, but we can expand on what that means. How does that look like? You know, they've been making a big ruckus, and, you know, we've escalated what that story is. That's the thing I would think of there. Let's do another one. That's a 5 and a 2. Yeah, what would happen if you rolled the same numbers? Like, of course you could be like, oh no, do it again, but maybe it's just a long, like, maybe you could say, like, if you roll the same numbers, it's a think piece. It's an expose on something, you know, and it's gone into so much detail. It's been split up into several articles, and you hear 2 sides of an argument or something. So here we've got 5, which is infrastructure and innovation, and it's a 12. Drilling expansions. So an expansion in drilling routes uncovers new valuable resource. What resource was uncovered, and how will it be utilized? We're in the sky, drilling for... Maybe it's like snow. Maybe we're finding those clouds and we can find those actual snow clouds. I don't know what the scientific term would be, but, you know, that's the sort of vibe I was thinking of. Oh, that dice didn't come out. That's a 2. And a natural 20. What a waste for a game. So this would be our final headline would be a environmental one, and on a natural 20. Ooh. Infertile soil. The city's soil is becoming increasingly infertile and inhospitable to new growth. What causes infertility and what is being done to cope and restore the city's soil? Now that's interesting, considering that we talked about if it's if it was the Sky City and the marketplace is talking about soil because we can't grow soil. That's really interesting. Suddenly, the whole crops and the harvest and if we're relying on imports of food and stuff like that. A lot more, so that would then indicate tariffs, and all that sort of thing. So that's interesting. There you go. So that's an example of again, I've gone through that very quickly, but then I wonder how we would talk about it as groups, and maybe I'd give a timer for how long we would talk about something in case people got really lost in the source, I have just done. I think it'd just be really interesting, and I wonder. Let's finish it. Let's see what else. We've got a city name generator and a headline generator. Oh, a headline generator, that's pretty good as well. And then, replaying a deadline. Okay, well, hang on, first of all, let's do, look at these adverts. The Duskfall, Duskfall. Industrious by nature, successful by design. How cool. And then Vesper Falls. Take to the skies and visit the first city to be suspended in the clouds. Oh, we could call it Vesper's Fall, but we're not going to. Right, let's see what we'd name our city. Oh, let's move this across. Alright, so this is choose 3 numbers between 1 and 25 to have a unique name. Ooh, that's tricky. What I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna roll my d20 and then add a d6, ignoring the 6 if I get a d20. Well, I got a 1 on the d20, that's hilarious, and a 5. So 5 would be the total, so the prefix would be steam. Steam would be the first thing. And then 17 and 2, so that's 19, so steam, and then the middle descriptor would be steam gate. Gate's there. I can see gate's been done twice. That's quite funny. And then the final one, 14 and 3 is 17, so it's Steam Gate Reach. Oh, that's good, Reach. I quite like that. That's the name of the city we've got for the Sky City. Steam Gate Reach, amazing. And then it says, struggling to craft the perfect headline. Oh, next, this comes back. Use the table below as a source of inspiration for your next headline. Read through the entries and select parts that most appropriately fit your event. You can then fill in the blanks with your city's name and details of what's unfolding. This isn't a strict table. Rather, it is a tool to help you generate fitting headlines. So here we've got subject, event, and impact as its sort of columns, and it's like breaking news, incredible discovery, and it's like I can imagine if we've got Steam Gate Reaches. Steam Gate Reaches magic, causes widespread panic. Ah, great. We've got some examples here at the top here. Unprecedented disaster. Professor Ember's failed alchemical experiments engulfs verdant vale in flames. So it is very much like it's editorial. It's sort of like trying to grab your attention, isn't it? I really like that. And then finally, the final page. Ooh, I can see one with T at the bottom. Amazing. Let's put this back in here. So it says here. So let me zoom in a little bit. There we go. So by the end of a full playthrough of Deadline, your city records sheet will be a maze of scribbled map drawings and annotations scrolled in the margins. The broadsheets will be filled with headlines chronicling triumphs and tragedies and scandals. Your city's tale can end here, but if you're not ready to close the book, consider these ideas to further explore its legacy. Run a second playthrough, so continue the story of your city by replaying the chronicling phase. Explore new events and uncover how the city develops across the decades or centuries. Discover what your city will look like if you chronicle its history for an extended period. So again, I can imagine like you start your game, you create your city, chronicle it, you play for a couple of sessions, and you go, right, we're now going to go back and then we need to time jump a little bit. So why don't we do a montage and flash forward? Amazing. And that's what you do here. You play the second playthrough. Redefine your map. Oh, refine your map, sorry, not redefine it. Whether you plan to delve deeper into your city story or use it as a backdrop for a role-playing campaign, take the time to refine its map. Redraw the boundaries, name the districts that have come to life in your chronicles, and create legends for the city's landmarks. Fill in the gaps in the map with distinct neighbourhoods, geographical features, and thoroughfares, adding city gates bridges, and fortified walls that can reflect the fractures or unity of its people. You know what? That could be something that you'd add to this, is having a random name generator for the districts. Like, we've got the ones for the city, and maybe you could just repurpose some of those ones. But that would be quite fun. You can add city gates, bridges, and fortified walls that can reflect the... Oh, I've said that. Why am I saying that again? And then using your map further. So if you tend to use the city you created for a role-playing game, note that you can play with the city at any point in the timeline, perhaps right after the establishment phase, or jump forward to the eve of a most turbulent, and transformative event. Excuse me. Oh. And then replaying Deadline. So if you've run through several iterations of Deadline, you can try altering your approach to keep things fresh. The rules are flexible enough to allow for reinterpretations or new spins on familiar entries. So here we have develop an existing city. So choose a city from a movie, game, or other media and run through the chronicling phase. So this is where Duskwall or Anmorpork or Columbia or any of those places we looked at could work here. Discover how wildly different the city could look in an alternate timeline. Give it a new history, a revolution that succeeded instead of failed, or a plague that mutated before it could be cured. Experiment with the setting. Place your city in a different era. With a little reinterpretation, the entries can adapt to any setting, from a futuristic dystopia, a medieval kingdom, or a post-apocalyptic wasteland. Reimagine your city as an environmentally specific settings like a frozen tundra, or explore a fantastical city based on the backs of ancient leviathans drifting through the sea. So that's your Antmorpork type things as well. Choose your entries. Take control of the city's narrative by deciding which events unfold and in what particular order. This can allow you to craft a specific story, like running through a series of revolutions and wars, and exploring the arcane mysteries of your city, or focusing on your city's survival during an onslaught of the natural disasters. Interesting. I would also say, because obviously this game is meant to be that you're creating the city, and it's about the city and the people in it, so you could take it in a role-playing game. I'm wondering if you could do almost like what's it called? Like the French Dispatch film, where it is a film about a newspaper, but then it goes into the individual stories. So maybe you have that headline. I think that's what it's saying there, choosing your entries. You choose that headline, and you go, let's go play that story. Let's go play this one. So, well, I love a mechanic that takes that you take things from movies, perked right up at that. Oh yes, absolutely, Ben. Take it. And then we've got lovely credits again, put in a lovely little layout here saying what it is and all the rights and stuff like that. And we've got the ISBN number there. Oh, look at that, proofreading and maps were created by Wonderdraft. So how nice is that? It actually says where they were sourced. I think the only thing I would say, just because I know somebody mentioned earlier, is what fonts did you guys use? That's what I would love to know. There you go. And we've got a nice little advert there that says, "Step aside, coffee. Tea has taken the crown." Do you often find the mundane world dragging you down? Are you plagued by existential ennui, gripped by a paralyzing fear of the unknown, or beleaguered by the constant meddling of your arch nemesis? Make your spirit soar with a cup of brown joy by the resplendent Professor Elemental. Cracking. I want that. I want that on everything. There you go. That was Deadline. A little hour and a half. Apologies for the technical difficulties halfway through, but what do we think? What do we make of it? God, I love it. I love how simple it is. I feel like we don't have to think too hard, and it's very creative, and it's GM-less, so you can have lots of fun with it. The drawing aspect of it, I think, is good as well. I would even say you don't need it. You can just talk it through. You don't necessarily need the map element of it, perhaps. I know that's our kind of whole point, like with these map-making games, and like Quiet Year needs it and all that sort of, again, it's just a way to visualize the thing, and it makes you do something. You're being active in drawing and creating the world. But if you can't, for whatever reason, I think talking it through is great as well. I love how we've got those random tables. I think it's really cool and really interesting. I would love more random tables, but that's just me being very, very selfish. I think that's the only thing I would say is that what happens if in the rare instance that you would roll the same entry a few times? Because it can happen, especially, and I think that my suggestion of like, hey, don't connect the stories, but if you've rolled, say, the same entry twice in one news cycle with the minor headlines, expand it to be the expose piece, or having two arguments of this, if it's like a political debate or an argument, the for and against, and people going back across about it. I think that's really cool. I'd also say I'd advise on not connecting the stories in one cycle, but if you rolled the major or the arcane headline again, then that we just build upon the story from before, because that's more satisfying as a result. I would also say, I wonder if you could just switch around the major headline and the arcane headline, so it could be majors first and arcane headline at the bottom, depending on how much magic is like prevalent in the city that you're building. Like maybe it's like magic is everywhere, or magic is not everywhere. I wonder, like, you could shift those around, because it's nice to have those two separate as like, here's what's striking news is the everyday and the not everyday, the ordinary and the extraordinary. I think you could switch those around as well. Because there's nothing to stop you from doing that. So yeah. You should really check the thing I've sent you on Discord, by the way. Oh, I will then. Don't worry. We're almost going to the end now, so I'll definitely look it up. But yeah, Shahik says, I think it's really cool, and I want to see you look at it. Let me have his indulgence. Oh well, absolutely. Well, maybe we can talk about it off stream, and maybe we can have a play of it. Because yeah, I think it gets me excited. It's a very straightforward. It's a very creative game. I like how you can choose how long it is and how short it is, and how like exciting. Like again, I can imagine you play with players who aren't sure about like whether they want to play in say Dustfall, or if they don't want to play in Ant Malt Pork, or steampunk, maybe something else. But having a way to influence the world and create something is so precious in general. But I just think you get excited and you go, right, now we're going to go play in the next session, and then being able to come back time and again to expand the world. It's like is it like Microscope or anything like that? Yeah, I really love it. So yeah, please go check out. Let me move all the stuff out. Go check it out. It's €10 from the Wanderer's Tome website. Obviously, I know you can get it elsewhere. Please go support them. I'm a big fan of their work. I think the Shortino sisters are amazing. I love Flabbergasted, and I really love this. And I love how simple this is as well. And it's just really nicely designed. It's one of those ones where I think if it turns up at Gen Con, because it might do, the physical stuff might be there, I might get a physical copy, because I can imagine it as a prop. It would be just really cool to have at the table. So there you go. But yeah, please go support them. And that's it. That's all I've got for today. It's too long, didn't read. Let me go back to Big Fiona's screen quickly. Ta-da! It's me. Thank you so much, friends, for listening up. Again, like I said, honest question, do you think it could work for Roll By Myself, minus the map making bits? Yeah, I think so, because I think as a solo game, it's about you creating stuff and getting excited about stuff. And I think as long as you are describing things visually, it kind of doesn't matter where they are on the map. Like, you can draw the map for yourself and be like, okay, there's 8 districts, and this district is next to this district. So that means that, and it's smaller than this and all that sort of thing. So I think it absolutely can work. But I'd say, and again, this is just me giving advice to you, my friend, in front of all these other people that may be watching, I like the idea of a visual patron thing, about you having yourself like recording it as you're creating it as a video recording, and then having that video element as a patron thing, as long as you are describing things and getting excited. I think it could work either way. But yeah, I think this game would absolutely work. Like how I did the Quiet Year for the What Am I Rolling. We had the map. I made sure that we tried to visually describe as much as we could and really indulged in the details. Like the Feather, Beak and Bone game was interesting. I don't know if that would work as well now that I think about it, because again, it is more visual and stuff. Tell you what we should do before we leave. Hang on, let me see if I can find it. Let's look at the actual stuff you get. That was just a PDF. I did say I'd look at the sheets, didn't I? So we've got the news cycle. So this is the news cycle. Let me open them all up quickly. You can't see it just yet because I know it's on Big Fiona face. Oh, that's really cool. Oh, have I just opened it? No, I've done it. Okay. And then pre-made cities. Ah, interesting. Okay. Back to game. Sorry. So this is the pre-made city records we have here. So this is where we do the creation of the city. So this is where you would draw it. So we can see here there's 3 different types. We've got these sort of more island-like ones with sort of, I assume, bridges of some sort. And we got numbers next to them. That's very clever, actually. So you could say numbers of what they are, in case you weren't sure what they were. And you got like the monarchy, climate, like factions, a little bit of information. I think I like the look of it. It's very clean. It's very in keeping. I would have this as 2 pages. So you have the and maybe like a spread like that, like a landscape. So you have enough space to draw as much as you want, even though it's going to be small. But then all the information on on next to it, so you could write lots about, like, factions. You might have lots of them. Religions, you might have lots of them. I think it's supposed to keep it simple and small, but I quite like it. And this one is Vesper Falls. We've got Gloom Rift Hollow, which is more connections between the islands there. And then we've got a Flint Ridge Morn there. How interesting. So yeah, the image itself is not screen readable, which is fair, but everything else is stuff on it. So there you go. Interesting. So those are those pre-made city records. So you could just pick this up and go straight into it. The city, and that's just a clear city record leak. It's not form fillable. Is the only thing I'd say. They do have a thing about how to play online, which I might look at later. Then we have the broadsheet itself. So this is I do like this because, again, it's like you have the headlines in. So we've got at the top here, we've got the main box for the headline. It's the arcane headline. Then you've got the 4 small boxes here to be the minor ones, and then the major one at the bottom. And it says here, like, news cycle, arcane headline, minor headlines times 4, major headline here, and you have the date and news cycle and the name of the newspaper. I like it. It's simple. Again, I would have a space for an advert. I would do a random table for an advert. And there you go. And then if you want to just print out a full pack, so here's one. It's 3 news cycles plus your city sheet there. So, the city record sheet there. So I like it. Again, I guess, this makes sense in person. I think online, I would like more space to, especially if you're doing it remotely, like you have like a Miro board or a Google Sheet or something like that. I think it's nice looking. I'm not as keen as I was with the Clockwork, like with the actual PDF. I like the PDF a lot more, but I think these are quite nice as well. Evening. I played this on Saturday night. Hello, the bad spot. Thanks for joining. You've just come to the end of this. Yeah. We really enjoyed it, looking it through. I was saying the only sort of critique I would give is that in the rare circumstance that you'd roll the same headline within the news cycle, that you would expand on it and maybe have an expose or 2 different sides of that particular event that happened. Or if you rolled the same arcane headline or the same major headline in different cycles, that you just expand the story on a little bit. So yeah, really liked it though. Really like this idea. It's so simple. Really like it. Like I said, it was just my little things that we thought would change a little bit. I think in terms of the accessibility, obviously I know some of the art. Well, the art doesn't have any alt text. I would even say the only thing I would put is like here where it says like what the dice is to roll, because it just says D12. I think you need to say roll a D12, because we didn't get that unless you read the examples. Like, we can understand what it is, but if you are partially sighted or you can't see the screen, you need to have all that sort of thing. So, yeah, there you go. I will just not that, I'm afraid. I do not appreciate. There you go. I don't appreciate people telling me to smile. Thank you. All right, let's go back to my camera. Okay, brilliant. Thank you, folks, so much. I very much appreciate it. I've got to head off now. I've got to go do Blood on the Clock Tower with the RP Geeks, which is very, very fun. But if you have enjoyed this, I run One of My Rolling, which is a twice-monthly tabletop RPG one-shot podcast. We do lots of different RPG systems and different games. I also am one half of the DM's Book Club, which is a weekly D&D book club podcast where we talk about some Dungeons & Dragons and discuss how we might include them in our role-playing campaigns. God damn it, I missed this. I had lots to say for once. Well, you're going to have to tell me all about it when I see you on Thursday. And then Sunday. Yeah, so then we've got... sorry, I'm trying to think. So yeah, go check those out if you feel so inclined. I appreciate... Well, times are tough just now. I have finally set up my Ko-Fi, my Ko-Fi, depending on how you say it. If you've enjoyed this, or if you've enjoyed any of the work of what I do on Too Long Didn't Read, appreciate we had technical difficulties earlier, so you might be like, not so sure. Feel free to give a donation or something like that. Like, all it will do is just go back into the channel. I do this because I really enjoy it and I learn a lot from doing it. So, and I just hope that these streams help other people to explore and find out about other games. So please feel free to drop me a donation, but there's no pressure to do so. What else is that? The final thing I'll say. Well, final 2 things, sorry. RP Geeks. In 20 minutes, we're going to go over to the RP Geeks. I'm going to play Blood on the Clock Tower, which I'm very excited for. I'm playing, I think, in the first game, and then on the second game, I'm going to storytell. First time storytelling for the RP Geeks. I've done a little bit of it it's we'll see how it goes. It's not going to be too difficult a script. But maybe we try and do it once a month. We try and do Blood and Clock Tower, and we very much enjoy it. So come and check us out. If you like social deduction, if you like us lying to our friends, that is exactly what the game's like. And then the final thing is, as always, if you're like, Fiona, I want to find out more about this stuff. Well, we've got a Where Discord, Where and DM's Book Club Discord, where you can come and chat things out and stuff. Give everyone in Ravensblood my love and a good look storytelling. Oh, thank you, The Bad Spot. I very much appreciate it. Yeah, looking forward to it. It's been a little while since we played. So, yeah, getting back into the groove of stuff. And, yeah, so come check out the Discord. Again, we're just a group of people who really enjoy talking about TTRPGs and just talk about a whole lot of stuff. I recently watched the Doctor Who trailer for Season 2, and let me tell you, I'm very excited. I genuinely can't wait. I just hope the scripts are better than last season. Because my quick thing before I end, I have been slowly rewatching the Doctor Who stuff. I'm just halfway through Capaldi's first season, and my god, that first season is incredible. I hadn't watched it since it was live, and it's brilliant. Deep Breath is one of the best openers, and I will fight you about it. I'm so excited. Yeah, me too, Shahik. I'm so excited. It looks so good. Anyway, before I go off on my own Doctor Who monologue, thank you guys so much. I'll be back on Thursday. Fingers crossed with I know this is definitely going to happen. It's definitely going to be the one. We are going to be looking at, she says, trying to find the link. I think it's Triangle Agency, yes, Triangle Agency we're going to look at on Thursday, which I'm very keen for. Again, it's been in the zeitgeist quite recently. It's a tabletop role-playing game. It's set in present-day setting about wielding enormous reality warping power, navigating bureaucratic red tape, and juggling your everyday responsibilities. Yeah. Sounds amazing, and from what I heard, people really enjoy it. So yeah, that's going to be the one we're going to look at on Thursday. So who knows? Capaldi is peak, absolutely. It's so nice to have a Doctor who doesn't care about anyone. It's so refreshing, and I love Capaldi so much. And I've enjoyed every single Doctor to this point. I just think that we have peaks and troughs in terms of writing. But that's a story for another day. Anyway, I'm going to get ready for Blood and Clock Tower. Come see us over in the RP Geeks. We'll be on the RP Geeks D&D on YouTube. And yeah, we'll see you there. And I'll see you on Thursday. In the meantime, stay safe, have fun with games. And I feel very differently about that statement. Oh no, quick, end the stream. No, thanks so much, everyone. And we'll see you on Thursday. And yeah, have fun. Don't die. Play RPGs. Bye.